Okay, I just want to do a quick review on Steven Pressfield's The War of Art. This is a really, really good book, really short. I listened to it on Audible. It's only about 2 hours 40 long. Did it in sort of half a day, just sort of around the house on a Sunday. Really enjoyable. He really sort of brings his advice back to basics. If you're someone who's getting into writing or you're an entrepreneur, this advice is really, really useful. Kind of the gist of the book is he talks about resistance and how resistance is something that we're always fighting against. It's kind of that fear, that kind of gut feeling that you get when you don't want to do something and when you start procrastinating. And the way he talks about it from his own experience is really, really valuable. He talks about how, well, he does actually, I'm not sure he talks about it in the book, but I've since realised from looking him up online that he took 27 years of writing before he actually broke through with any kind of success. Earned about $3,500 for some screenplay, I think it was. But yeah, he basically talks about how important work is and just getting the work done, just turning up every day, sitting down, doing the writing, whatever it is that you're doing, just turning up, doing the work. He talks about how it's not about genius, it's about hard work. It's really encouraging actually to hear his advice. It really does give you the feeling that if you're determined enough and you're strong enough in your ambition and your drive, then you can do really well. I found it really encouraging and really motivating myself. There's so much good advice in the book. I won't give any spoilers. It's only a short book, but it was a real surprise for me. It wasn't a surprise, to be fair, because it got about 92%, I think, on Google from the Google reviews, and it gets good reviews on Audible as well. It's one probably that I'm going to buy the hard copy of, though, I think, because it's such a short book. I think it'd be a really good one just to sort of refer back to and flick through again, kind of thing. I'm going to move on to Turning Pro afterwards, which is one that he's done more recently. I get the feeling it's going to be fairly similar because the sort of second half of the first book, The War of Art, he talks about the importance of turning pro. He talks about the difference between being an amateur and being a pro, and how being a pro is the way to be, is the thing to strive for. So he talks about someone like sort of Tiger Woods, who just kind of dedicates themselves, because it's about disregarding your ego, not allowing and actually talking about the ego. The last half hour of the book, he talks about the ego, and I found it probably the best description of the ego out of any book that I've read. And I've read a lot of personal development books that talk about ego and the destructive power of the ego, but the way he describes the ego and the way he talks about it as a force for kind of working against you, actually as a force of resistance, basically. The way he talks about it is really interesting, really clear, and really useful. And like I say, the advice he gives is superb. It's born out of his years of experience as a writer. Like I say, he took quite a while before he found success himself. And it's really, 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 really good. You really get the sense that you're benefiting from his experience, from his kind of failings, from the failings that he had before he became successful. He's a really interesting guy. There's loads of information online. I would recommend looking him up, doing a bit of research like I have done on him as well. But yeah, absolutely superb. Really good book. There's no excuse not to listen to or read this one because it's so short. But in being short, it's not, I can't really describe it. It's not sort of, it's not in any way cheap or crappy. The quality, it's such good quality. There's so many books out there that repeat themselves. It could be kind of done in half the time, a quarter of the time. This one, superb, really leaves you wanting more. And like I say, he's got the next book, Turning Pro, which I'll be reading, or I am reading now. So really, really good. Really recommended.